draft script for remotely conducted open meetings. As a preliminary matter, this is Aaron Vandestein, the chair of the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond the affirmative. Martin Essner.
Affirmative.
Great. Daniela Sharma.
Aye.
Karen Sepitelli.
Aye.
Dana Wilson.
Aye.
And Doug Bowman.
Aye.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond the affirmative. Beth Galloway.
Aye.
Okay, so good evening. This open meeting of the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you'll find on the town's website at www.grafton-ma.gov, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely as so long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees is convening via video Zoom conference, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and that take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along unless I note otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Great. So I have the agenda on my other screen here, but Beth, clearly if you have it, great. So the next item on the agenda is to approve minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 27th meeting.
Okay,
And I'll second that motion.
great. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion about the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes? Aaron Vandestein, aye. Martin? I can't hear you. I'm pretty good at reading lips, but if we can hear you, it'll probably be a good idea.
Aye.
Great. Daniela.
Thank you.
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Dana?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Great. On to bills. Fiscal year 22 warrants 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36. I'll hear a motion to accept the bills.
I make a motion to accept the warrant bills 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36.
Great.
I second that motion.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the bills? Okay. All in favor? Aaron, aye. Daniela?
Aye.
Marty,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Dana,
Aye.
Doug.
Aye.
Great. Ongoing business, the MPLCP Building Program Grant update, Beth.
So I realize this is supposed to be a January report. It's March 2nd that we're meeting, but this week was the first week where, and last week I started getting some actual other work done that was not just construction work all day. So it was a huge relief. And I'm finally feeling like there's a couple outstanding things that are very frustrating, but we're moving along. Our panic buttons are installed and we're testing them on Thursday. We've had an ongoing issue with one of the two security gates. And we had a tech on site again today, and we think most of it is resolved. And now we just need to reschedule a training that we already had in June, but it was very much in a vacuum because we had no gates or building at that point. It was just an overview of the gate software. For those of you unaware, the thing the gate does is anything that exits the building that's not checked out, it sets off an alarm, which is very loud. We turned it down, so it's not as grating. But it also is our door counter. So we're not doing little handheld clickies anymore. And we want to learn how to run the report directly from the computers every day. So it's like another little automated thing that staff don't have to worry about once it's up and running. The trustees voted to fund additional barcode scanners that I thought we didn't need, but Borrower Services had convinced me, really, we do. This was short-sighted not to include it. So they were procured, arrived, installed, and during the installation process, one of the two computers died. So our outdoor intake for returns was unavailable for a while, and then we swapped the inside and outside one to get the 24/7 one up and running. I think we're still waiting for a new computer. So it wasn't the intention that putting in the barcode upgrade would derail the return system. We're currently accepting returns in a big rolling bin in the lobby for anyone who doesn't go around to the outside. So that's a little step back. Supposedly our tutoring room doors complete with glass ships, but we're still waiting for them to arrive so we can install them. You might remember that 2 of the 3 had arrived, but without glass, and one was finished and one wasn't. So that's getting corrected. We're still missing a few shelves. I'm going to be touching base again with Tucker Interiors to find out if there's any closer ETA for the remaining shelves for the large print room. We also are waiting for them to come back and flip the locks for the glass bookcases in 219, which is the 10-seat conference room. So we have some materials in there, but we're not able to secure them because whoever put the locks in had them flipped the wrong way. They don't lock the doors and they need to rotate to fix the doors so they lock. We're still getting furniture, fixture, and needed equipment in. We ordered a rolling cart for a volunteer who takes care of watering our plants. The Friends funded 2 OWL meeting devices, which means if we wanted to move to a hybrid meeting status for next month, we could consider that. If people still aren't comfortable with in person, that's okay. But if we want to meet on site, what the OWL does is it's a 360-degree camera, and it'll rotate and focus in on whoever's talking. It also has a really good microphone, so you don't need to be right at a computer for the device to pick up your voice, and make sure to transmit it through Zoom so the person on the other end can hear everyone in the room within like a 25-foot radius. It's a really cool thing. We had Renaud come in at the end of January. They're our HVAC maintenance people. They thought there were a couple of problems with accessibility for trying to get filters out to be rinsed and cleaned and replaced. Feedback from the construction team was actually, you don't need to do anything with those. So now I'm kind of being the middleman to get Renaud the original training videos from last July to make sure they are doing all the right things to our system. The cost for our annual maintenance for HVAC is $11,500. And that was a number I tried to track down for a number of months, but ultimately did not include in this current FY22 budget because I never got the figure. So I'm a little concerned. We just shelled out, $5,000 to Renaud, and we took it out of building and maintenance. But if they come back in May or April to look at all of our air conditioning, there might be another bill. And depending on how all of our other expenses are, I might be concerned about how I'm going to pay for that. It is budgeted for in the FY23 budget. Signet was on site at the beginning of the month to deal with a staff key card issue. The door seems to stick a little when the weather is cold. So we're retraining staff that when they swipe their card, they have to wait for the click. That means it has unlocked so they can try and get in. And we'd had some issues with that door. It's very heavy. We open it and it's not swinging shut all the way, which means it's not a secure building. And then you have to put down all your things, try and grab the bracket and yank the crash bar to pull the door closed. Someone from the door company came along and slashed the rubber gasket underneath the door, and now it closes like a dream. And we wish we'd been able to do that 6 months ago. We're going to keep monitoring the space to make sure we didn't create an issue of debris blowing in or cold air, but it's just a little vestibule. It's got a heating unit inside of it, and I think it's going to be okay. It's a real cheap, easy fix once we figured out what we needed to do. Big news, the donor-funded clock arrived and was installed, and it looks beautiful. It's a Roman numeral clock up on the wall in the new book and large print reading room. The mechanism on the back looks a little Frankensteinish. We need to hang a big picture or photo over it to block it. I don't think we need to spend money to make it look pretty. I think we can just hang something over it. They did put the clockwork mechanism to change the time, if we have to for daylight savings, up really high so nobody would mess with it, but it's accessible with a short ladder. So in theory, custodial can take care of that for me twice a year. And at the same time, DMH Electrical came back, and thank you to the Capital Campaign who funded them to put in extra outlets, because it turned out the electrical schematic for the building was never really compared to the ever-changing schematic design that showed where all the furniture and desks and computers would go. So we had to spend, I forget what it was, Dana, like $2,500 maybe to put in an additional 12 outlets to correct that issue. And at the same time, they came and put in an outlet in the historic reading room so we can move the weights and measures cabinet into that space. Unfortunately, because of the way the brick is in the original building, they had to cut a channel about 3 inches wide, going halfway down part of the wall to run the electrical conduit and put the plug into the wall. So it's quite unsightly. And the cabinet won't completely cover it. So it does need a little bit of finish work. I'm trying to work with CTA. They still have somebody who's on site once in a while to do little punch list things. I said, can you give me a quote? Like, can Rich just take care of that for us, whether it's drywall and plaster or just stain a piece of wood and put it, on both sides of the outlet so it's balanced. But we've got to do something to make it look a little more aesthetic before we move the cabinet. And then someone will have to pay for it if we can't do it through the project or change order through the construction project. Dana, are you volunteering?
No, no, I've done enough of that. But no, what I wanted to say is, a couple of things. We really wanted to make sure the library is functioning well. So that's why when there was communicated to me that, we needed outlets, I said, we're getting them. So just so you know, Capital Campaign's been working behind the scenes on this. And I'm glad that I was going to also say, so Renaud, they're your regular maintenance then. Okay. Because we could have used them for the electric. I went with whoever the town uses, but we need to really, I guess, who is CTA? Is that the group
CTA, I don't know what the initials stand for, but
okay.
Their full name is CTA Construction Manager. So they're the actual contractors who built the building, and they hired their own electrician to do most of the wiring. It was Wayne Griffin Electric, which has like 3 branches throughout the United States. But yeah, so depending on what we have going on in the library, I've used in the last 10 years, both Griffin and DMH, and I think Renaud to do electrical work in the building.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't know how much this is going to cost, so we'll have to figure out who's going to pay for this.
Again, so CTA might come back with a really expensive price, like $2,000 to slap to get, again, it's not that big of a repair, but we want it to look nice. And we might say, you know what, the custodian can either stain a piece of dark wood and put just a piece of, woodwork to cover it. The only thing is it will be the only wall with that decorative embellishment. So or he might be able to, because we have to paint, just put a strip of plywood or balsa wood or something to cover that channel and paint it a different color. Most of it, again, will be behind the cabinet, but it was just kind of, unexpected. He went, because there's an electrical closet right there. So it should have been a real easy, just run it from the closet, but there's literally like there's brick and there's this much space between the brick and the drywall in the room. So I said, yeah, go ahead and do it. I did think that he would put the outlet very close to the door and not run the channel halfway down and put it in the middle of that wall, which is like 7 feet of wall. But, you know, it is what it is, and it will be okay. There is, and I did say, can I just put a piece of wood over it without refinishing the wall? You know, I don't want to create a fire hazard or anything. And they said, yeah, that would be fine. It's just, it would be a shame because the room looks so nice. And now you're going to put a piece of something over the whole.
We'll talk. We need it to look good, look as good as it can be. It's a beautiful room.
So still outstanding though is I asked for CMD, which is I think related to Coughlin, maybe it was Coughlin. I need somebody to come back and run additional Ethernet drops because they never got finished in the children's room. We tried to go back to the subcontractors and they said, no, it was never slated to go there. You know, you put the outlet in the floor for the electrical plugs and the data drops. What do you mean you were never supposed to run the data to it? But Evan's been supportive about getting somebody else in to do that additional wiring. So we're still waiting for that piece. So we can move the copier downstairs into the public space and the children's room desk across the room. Because now we'll have electrical and cable. I think 2 public computers in the children's room may also need the data drops. Right now they're running on the Wi-Fi, which is still kind of spotty and intermittent. And if you're doing gaming, it's just not great. So anyway, there's still a couple of things outstanding. We're still fighting with the fax machine. One of them is working, one is not. I put Susan on it and she actually got one up and running this week, which is great. And then the other, like we have our first program going on tonight down in the community room. So I mean, it feels like real progress in February. We still have gate at the stairs that we're waiting for and the doors to close off the makerspace and the presentation area and the tutor room doors. And then the HVAC overall is still outstanding, but the punch list is like 3 or 4 items at this point. So the end is in sight.
Thank you, Beth. Go ahead, Karen.
Beth, I don't know HVAC, so this may be a stupid question here, but that $11,000 thing, can that get pushed into July where it can be in next year's budget? Or does it have to be done earlier?
I don't know. I mean, technically, we can't switch over to air conditioning.
Without them coming and
Yeah, and if it's
doing
hot,
whatever. Okay.
yeah, then it could be problematic.
Okay. All right.
I mean, there's always a chance that we didn't actually spend. I mean, I spend as much in other categories. We can take a look at the budget.
Yeah.
It's, frustrating because I did try to build in. I put a little bit money in, but I couldn't even conceive of what the contract would cost. It used to be, $1,300 a year for HVAC. And all they came and they drained the boiler and they cleaned the units twice a year. But there's a lot of stuff now to deal with.
Okay. All right. Just an idea. Thank you.
Please. Sorry, go ahead, Doug. I guess.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear my
microphone
name.
Didn't go.
That HVAC, is that kind of a town negotiated contract? Like, did they try to negotiate that at all? Because it does, it's a 10-fold increase for not a 10-fold size HVAC increase.
Yeah, it's the complexity. It's absolutely complexity. We have 2 ERV units.
But I mean, I'm just asking if the town is involved in that discussion.
It is only the town, in fact, and I had no say in the company or the pricing.
Good. No, good. Okay. My real question. Oh, sorry.
We got a good price because it's negotiated with all of the other buildings.
Okay, great. No, that's what I was wondering if it was just that's what they came to us with. Okay. My real question is, you mentioned the computer that died. Was that a computer that was supplied by the handling order, and did they replace? Like, is that under warranty?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a supply issue. So they said they were shipping it out, but I think it's not here yet. So.
Yep. Thank you.
No money to us. This is what the $28,000 service contract also pays for. The technician to come and mess around with it till it works.
Thank you. Anything else for Beth? Okay. On to the budget update, fiscal year 2022.
I sent it out. I'm happy to take questions. I don't think I looked closely at it. Again, it was sent out February 3rd for the month of January. So again, here we are in March and it's probably changed a bit since. I didn't have a sense of panic or that we're running out of money again, except for like this $11,000 HVAC expense that I hadn't budgeted for last year. I will say the electrical bills have been very high. We had an issue where we didn't get any bills until November or beginning of December, and it was about $6,000. And it turned out, while the construction company said that they were done paying it, they didn't. Somebody did not communicate that the library was to start picking up the tab for the electrical. So we paid off the tab for the 5 months, and we got a discount, and that was great. And Eileen had to go out and find the meter and read it so they could set up an account. And then we got a $6,000 bill, $6,000 bill, and then we got a $9,000 bill. And this is for the lights and electrical. It's not for the heat. It's like, what is going on? Mary Gloria, who's our Newtown accountant, is amazing. She's trying to negotiate or broker electrical deals. And she found out after we gave her all of our account numbers that we're getting billed a residential rate and we're a business. So she's looking into that and working with Eileen. We provided all of our information, all of our invoices, and we're expecting to see a credit, hopefully a significant credit, because I was really starting to panic at the idea of we went from $6,000 for 5 months to $6,000 for 1 month and $9,000 for a month. And the budget, the energy modeling said that we should be around $42,000 a year for all utilities. But with our efficiencies, we could reduce that to an estimation of $33,000 a year. So that's the money that we have for the lights and the heat and the AC. So I'll have an update next month for how all the negotiating went, what the credits are, and if I'm going to need to ask for money to be put into the library budget to cover our utilities at town meeting, which I think would be the most appropriate course of action rather than have the Board of Trustees come in and rescue our operating budget with state aid money. But you may feel otherwise. I think we're going to be okay.
Doug, please.
Sorry, I have all the questions, but speaking of the heat, I was going to bring this up in our walkabout, but the thermostats throughout the building, I was surprised to find that they're adjustable by pushing the buttons on it. Like I was thinking that'd be locked out, because when we were in the old historic reading room, the temperature was set to like 76 or 77, was quite warm in there. So I don't know if, like, are they supposed to be locked out so that patrons can't adjust them, or do you just go around and check them every once in a while?
So nothing, they can only be set to a range of 70 to 74. But it displays in big numbers the current temperature. So it may have been 76 in that room, but it should have been like the heater should have shut off to allow the room to cool, and
okay.
on if it got under a certain temperature. So part of the reason that we still have HVAC on our punch list is because I still don't have full turnover and control because of a disputed issue. The contract for HVAC stated that for our LEED certification, the building temperature should be set from 70 to a range of 70 to 74 degrees. And that was the most energy efficient. And that's what the energy modeling was based on that generated that $42,000 fee, right? But I want it to be 68 to 72. So I can go in and change an individual room online temporarily, but I don't have access to just globally set that temperature range a few degrees cooler. I will say that it's on a schedule too, where overnight it doesn't try to heat to that temperature. I think it's like 66 or 68 degrees overnight. So it's not blowing 24/7, but we're still, like I said, we're still in dispute over some issues. So until they say they're done, I don't seem to be able to have control over that. And we can lock out individual thermostats. I thought that all public areas had been set to lock out. So you might've been able to look at it. Did you go over and try to adjust it and turn it down?
I actually turned it down. I turned it down to 72 because it was just really warm in there.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be able to, but it's also
okay. I meant to, when we were walking, I meant to come find you, but did not.
Yeah, I will look into it. Again, I think it's too hot. And Cynthia, the lead specialist, told me that you can absolutely have it lower. It's just, that's what was written in the contract. So or into the construction documents. So that's what they had to follow. But yeah, it's warm.
Karen.
Yeah, and I'll just say the day that Doug and I were there was bright and sunny. So I think, with all the windows in that historic reading room, it was warm. It really was. So, and that one could probably even be set lower than everything else and just let the sun heat it up.
Okay. So Beth, you'll keep us posted if we need to start talking about state aid money, but it seems like you have some.
I will. And I will say too, we have FinCom coming up, right? So I was supposed to meet with my representative tonight, but he must have had something come up because he wasn't able to show up. So I'm hoping I have a chance to talk with somebody who will help explain to the rest of the finance committee what the next year's budget will be. But usually they also ask if we have any concerns about the current fiscal year budget. So I may have more information about credits and discounts and whatnot next week and be able to extrapolate for what I think it's going to cost. But it wouldn't hurt to put a bug in FinCom's ear next week when I'm defending the FY23 budget, say, by the way, we're looking at fiscal year 22 and we have some concerns around, in particular, the building maintenance line and the utilities line. And may be coming to ask you to move some money from free cash to help us cover the expense, which we did all the right things, trying to get the estimates and the energy modeling in, but ultimately, I got the budget I got. And I have to, even though it looks like there might be money in the book budget, say, we have a requirement by law to spend that, percentage of money on educational materials. So it's not as easy as just pulling from one account and moving it to another.
Thank you, Beth. Sorry, just juggling two meetings, not two meetings, but work calls. Okay. Any further questions for Beth regarding the 2022 fiscal year? Okay, great. So you have the revised fiscal year 2023 budget. So thank you for putting the talking points together so that we can help advocate for you if we see the opportunity. Using those talking points, I think the goal was for us to use those to reach out to maybe FinCom, but also, to help get a bug in Evan's ear as well when Beth talks to him about the budget for next year.
Yeah, I tend to be the one who does the talking for the presentation for the finance committee, but I really think that I want to make sure the board has an understanding of that we remain stretched thin for staff. And that's even with having positions filled. Like I asked for 18 hours because that was as much as I could get last year. I feel like I did my due diligence in 2017 and extrapolated for how many positions and how many hours I would need to cover not just desks, but to allow managers to have 80% of their time off the desk because they need it to do their planning and their purchasing or to go do a site visit or oversee a program or meet with a volunteer or attend a meeting. So I feel like there isn't a good understanding that with, 21, soon to be, 25 people on staff, including some temps that I want to add, we're not all sitting on the desk, all operating hours of the library waiting to serve patrons. There's a lot of other things that we do, and it's helping people with the facts, and it's going to the farmer's market, and it's setting up the ukulele program, and it's going in the historical room and observing the person who's using our historical documents so that they're not unsupervised. There's just, I just feel like there's not an understanding of the library work that we do. So I think that's the biggest takeaway. And the second, so I really mean it when I say we need more staff. I was in the teen room from 4 to 5 today. It was loud, unruly, obnoxious. They were playing this taco song that ended with cheese, 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 cheese. I couldn't get any work done. It was awesome. There were probably 20 kids. They were excited about the Roblox computer games they were playing. They were eating, they were flirting, they were chasing each other until I told them to go outside and run around for a bit and come back. we need 2 teen librarians in that room after school so that we can direct half of them into a program and doing something productive and manage all of the nooks and crannies of that space and still provide a dinner break to the teen librarian so the director doesn't have to go sit down there. And it's fun, but I'm not getting my work that you're paying me a lot of money done if I have to go cover the desk. And if we do eventually want to make a case for lowering our, unattended child policy age, again, I think we really need 2 people in there after school and weekends and, all day during school break and summer vacation and all that, so that we can be, making sure the behavior policy is followed and the kids have something productive to do when they're being obnoxious and, do some work or go home. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a very different dynamic than we had in the old building because there wasn't a proper space like that, and programming was few and far between because there just wasn't a space for those that age group. So yeah, I can certainly I don't know that I can sympathize, but I certainly understand the different dynamic in the new space.
And ideally, so the children's room, they built up, I'm sure at one point there was someone who did part-time children's work and we had a corner in the main reading room 30 years ago. And now we have 6 people on staff. They do programs for all ages 0 to 12. They're pumping out sometimes 10 programs in a month, plus school visits, plus online stuff, plus tours. And that's kind of the expectation. And the teen program of service should be identical with multiple staff, multiple programs. And it's not just here's a room and here's the books and computers. Good luck. We really want to build relationships with these kids. And, they tell me their name when they're misbehaving. And then I call them by name and they say hi to me the next day and the next week, which is really great. And that's what we want. Plus, we want to build those relationships so that they have a real ownership of the space. And they're not spraying their baby powder scented deodorant at each other next to the new chairs, like today, and throwing food at each other. Allison got them to clean up their mess. So, it's working, but we need more support. And then I guess the second thing is the budget reduction that I sent out. I had $1.13 million budget. Evan said, make it 100,000 over last year. I went, okay, fine. So it was at like 987,254. Okay. Most of that money, like $82,000 of that was all contracted services and utilities and building stuff and software that I've never had to pay for before, which pretty much eliminated any additional staff. So I just, again, would like FinCom to understand that quadrupling the size of the library meant we have to buy more toilet paper and the HVAC contract increased. And I need a trash barrel in every tutoring room. We have significant expenses and we're getting the best deal we can for software and office supplies and ice melt and all of that. But the bigger building and the huge parking lot mean those expenses have gone up. And there's also that we tried to automate as much as we could so that, again, to keep staff to a minimum, but those things come with a price. Our $250,000 AMH, automated materials handler, with all of the self-checks, has an annual $28,000 service contract. So, if we want to have those things that offset, it doesn't work for people, but we still have an expense to cover for equipment and licensing and software. That maybe I hadn't realized, I think, when we contracted with it, that it was going to cost so much money a year to have the stuff. So it's not something that the company was ever forthcoming about. But we did negotiate a good deal and got a discount for training, which is really helpful. So.
That is really great. I'm happy to hear that because I know training was a question, right? In terms of if they were going to make you pay for it or not.
I think they still charge for it, but they gave us a discount equivalent somewhere else. And we've asked for retraining for something and there's been no yes, but it will cost you. Okay. They want us to be happy, which is wonderful. Okay. And the licensing started late as well, right? So we saved a few months. I don't remember. We're already paying for licensing for some pieces. Like we already had 2 self-checks. we bought 2 more. So some of it's been staggered, but I'm pretty sure that it's all going to kick in annually, like July 1st every year. Excuse me. And I think I may have forgotten to pay one of the bills, and we just took care of it. So
Okay. So will we see that as one big cost annually, or is that kind of each quarter?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I think
Okay.
they will streamline it. Or it was prorated. Maybe that's the word. I think it might have been prorated.
And what does the $28,000 kind of get you throughout the year? Just the authorized to use the equipment? I mean, do we own the equipment, or is it leased, or is it just a software cost?
Yeah, we own the equipment. There is an annual lease for the software on, I want to say like 7 computers, the 4 self-checks and the 3 in the sorting room. It also provides, it's not 24/7, but significant tech support. And I got to say, I think we have David at Biblioteca on speed dial, and he's been really wonderful. It also covered the initial, I think the initial installations.
Yeah.
But,
So
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that handler is going to save
hold on a
FTE
sec-
time in the long run.
Second, Doug.
Oh,
Just,
sorry.
I think we're going to say the same thing, but I just want to talk about software licensing, because a lot of times they're always like, you get the guy in speed dial and they've been great. Well, it's because you probably have a certain support level that you're paying for. Like, if you find that once the dust settles and you rarely call them anymore, you may be able to go to like a lower support contract and save a bit of money. So they may not be very. I'm just saying that's generally what I've seen in my line of work. If that's not the case, fine, but it's just something to look out for.
Okay, I'll ask. I will say what I don't have a good sense of. I did start thinking about capital and trying to build out a timeline. Who knows if I'll be here in 20 years, but like, what's the life cycle, right, of the AMH, of these individual self-check computers? When do we need to replace the hot water boiler, the stove, the refrigerator? So I'm trying to also think about those things.
Okay.
Yeah, eventually, we'll have all the support that we need, but if a computer dies, we're going to have to replace it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, Doug, go ahead.
No, I was just going to comment that hopefully the AMH in the long run, once you get all the little weeds out, the bugs out of it, that it's going to save FTE time, right? You're going to free up some of the time from people because they're not going to have to go in there and drag stuff out of the wrong bin and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Thank you. Anything else you wanted to bring to our attention regarding the fiscal year 2023 budget?
No, I think just it says bare. But I think the only 2 things that are still unanticipated costs are ice melt. Like that, I don't know. Ice melt shows up and I get a invoice from Town of Grafton, so I never know quite what to estimate. So far, we've been able to pay for it. And that paper is kind of the same way. Like, it just shows up, and some years I get an invoice and some years I don't. We usually pay for that out of a revolving account, though, from copier fees. I am still waiting for a quote on landscaping, like landscaping maintenance. So that might be something that if I can't squeeze it in under just general building maintenance, I might ask the capital campaign if they want to help to pay for somebody to come 4 times a year to fertilize and trim and whatnot from the tree company.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how the landscaping is going to come in. We haven't really seen it yet, so that'll be exciting in the next couple months. Okay, thank you, Beth. Any further questions about the fiscal year 2023 budget request? Okay, sorry, I lost my agenda.
Dana waved, I think.
Oh, go ahead, wait, Dana. No, nothing, Dana? Oh, there you
Can
go.
you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just, because we've been all over the place with this, so I apologize. Right now, like I was reading, so can you just tell us and I'm sorry, people, that I don't know this, but in this year's, and currently, can you tell us how many people we have now? And then the new hires that you're gonna have? And with the new hires, so that will be part of this year and go into next year? I'm trying to figure out I'm just trying to get a sense, even though you've hired these new people, how much are they gonna help, how much, if we're still gonna be in need of people, as you're telling us, but also just to make sure that, because I was reading in a lot of the information that you provided as far as it was very helpful about how large the library is, how small the other library was, and then how many staff are needed. That was really helpful. And that's the kind of thing I think we've explained to people. But and I think that will help us with the budget people. But I just need to understand, I don't have a snap. I don't know what it's like today and what it's going to be once you get those hires or the timetable. And I think we need to know that, because people are going to, you're right, they're going to assume you hired new people, you got enough. And so I just, even myself, I don't know that thoroughly. So if it's possible for you to explain that quickly, that'd be good. If not, if you want to send us a memo on it, that's fine too. I think we need to do that before we meet with the finance committee. I was going to ask you also, can you confirm the date of that meeting?
Yes, after our meeting tonight, or maybe tomorrow morning, I'll send out the Zoom invitation that I got from FinCom. It is next Wednesday, March 9th at 7:15 or 7:30 p.m. I think 7:15. There's somebody ahead of us.
Okay.
And they budgeted 15 or 20 minutes for me or longer.
And it's a Zoom meeting?
It's a Zoom meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can just kind of I can give you a snapshot of tonight. So right now I wouldn't normally be working on a Wednesday night, right? But I'm in the building. There's someone, probably Allie Piccone, down at the circulation desk. And then Kate is temping, because my hires did not, it's a long story. We're hiring people next week, not yesterday. So Kate is here as a temp. So that means if I'm not here, on the second floor from say 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., we have 2 people to manage, I don't know, what's half of 12,000 square feet of building, including 1, 2, 3, 4 meeting rooms. And right now we have 2 people in tutoring rooms and a 10-person program, PTG's meeting. So Kate is kind of here at one end managing the study corridor, and she has a sight line to the stairs, and she's got a little tiny window into the large historic reading room. And she's got visual control of that space, but she's still got to get up and walk around and check the space. And then at the other end, Allie has to get up and go into the large print room to monitor or supervise anything going on in those meeting rooms. And then she's got, the stairs, light of sight to the stairwell and the elevator.
So you telling me,
and 25?
You tell me 2 people.
2 people.
You're just there because you're for our meeting,
right?
And that's how we've been functioning at night.
Yes, except sometimes somebody's out sick, so there's 1 person up here.
And how busy is it at night? It should be fairly busy, I would think.
Well, so it has not been busy because 1, pandemic, but 2, we haven't been doing programming, and programming is what brings people in. But tonight we're running ukulele with 10 people. We have the parent teacher group meeting. We have people tutoring. So it's like fairly busy. Downstairs in the children's room, there's just Cindy because somebody's out sick. We still are under COVID watch, which means if a staff member says they have a COVID symptom, even if they think it's food poisoning or something else, I now have to tell them, you can't come back until you have a doctor's note. So I currently have 2 people who, were scheduled for tonight who aren't here. So I have Cindy downstairs in children's, Allison downstairs in the teen room, and then I think Sandhya is down at the lobby desk. So again, it's quiet in terms of patrons, but I also have like these, programs going on. Luckily, we're all done with dinners, but everybody had to eat it between, 3:30 and 5 o'clock tonight, which is early, to get dinner breaks out of the way with before people who were 9 to 5 went home. And if, say, we also had book group, say Kate was, scheduled to run book group, she goes into a meeting to run book group, and now there's nobody at the reference desk. So Heidi's 35 hours at reference. We are hiring an 18-hour reference person to help Heidi. The library is open 60 hours a week. So we don't even have a full 60 hours of reference desk coverage to monitor that end of the building, which means now either I need to go sit at reference, or Donna would need to go sit at reference, or whoever else is around needs to help cover that reference desk. So we have the coverage and the control and the person at the service desk. which also then means someone is being taken away from their regular work. That's not going to get done because we have to go sit at the service desk. And you can do some things sitting on the service desk. But the situation is the same in the teen room. Allison's 35 hours. We're hiring an 18-hour teen librarian. It's not enough coverage for the hours we're open. And it doesn't allow, if there's just, Allison or the other person, and she wants to do a teen program, who's going to come and cover? Because you can't just leave the room unattended. You can't run a program when people are screaming in the gaming room or, chasing each other around in the stacks. You have to interrupt your program and go address that problem. Circulation is okay. They keep telling me that they don't have enough people. They don't have enough people. If you're sitting at the lobby, per our our minimum staffing policy, you're sitting at the lobby desk and you get up to go into the sorting room for 15 minutes to sort through the bins. That desk is now unattended. Where's the person who's going to come and cover to help patrons? And it might only be 15 minutes, but it's 15 minutes every hour. And that person also needs a lunch break at some point. So when I say we don't have enough staff, like that's really what I mean. We should have 2 people scheduled for every desk for coverage. We have 5 service desks. So we have 18 people now. We're hiring 2 people. I still am interviewing for the admin assistant position. We actually really liked a lot of the people we talked to, and I'm hoping to bring on 5 additional temps who we can call. Like I said, I have 2 people out. Sarah and Allison went and did something at the schools this morning for Read Across America Day. So now they're leaving early. So again, trying to, stretch coverage all the hours that were open. It's a challenge. And with this year and really for next year, I didn't budget because I couldn't. For the 1,800 hours of leave time that benefit staff have. I have a staff member who went to India for a month. She's going to be out the whole month of March. And if I don't have, right now, because I have vacancies, I can get people to work some of her shifts, not all of them. But next year, the budget is to the bone, which means we're going to work short or close departments. We only closed departments 8 times since we've been open since October. Once we closed the whole building due to lack of staff, which is actually pretty good. But there is definitely a sense among staff of real loyalty. They don't want to leave their coworkers in the lurch. They want the building to be open. They would rather be quiet and shut their mouths and work short and, be unhappy and unsafe than really, complain and push for the full coverage, which is not ideal.
I just have a quick question. So you said right now, and it's March 22, you have 18 that are people that are currently working, and then you're going to hire 2.
Yeah.
And then how does, I'm sorry?
A third eventually. So we're hiring the librarian and teen librarian. They were supposed to get appointed last night, but there was a glitch with the agenda. So they're getting appointed on the 8th. And then we'll finish interviewing for the administrative assistant position and fill that last. And those positions will all roll over to FY23.
Okay. So in 23, will you have, is it correct to say you'll have 21 positions?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. How many positions do you think you should have?
So I asked for another 6 12-hour positions. And that still doesn't cover everything, but it's, it would be significant to get all of those. And I also asked for 2 additional 20-hour-a-week paid shelving pages because volunteers are not reliable. We love them, but they don't show up to shelve. And again, like if you're supposed to have a minimum staffing is, 4 people, and now you're away from the desk for half an hour, shelving in the back in the children's room, hopefully you're paying attention to when a patron comes in, but also now you're not getting your children's work done because you're putting the books away. And I'm hearing from children's staff, I spent half of my 4-hour shift putting books away. Children's circ and teen circ is 60% of library circulation. They do huge business. And it's great, all the books are going out, but staff should kind of be shelving as a last resort. We should have volunteers or pages. And again, that 2017 projection that I gave to Tim and Becca, funded 6 10-hour page positions. So there would be someone paid to shelve all hours that the library was open. We have 1 person who's here 12 hours and he doesn't do children's or young adult. So It's not enough.
Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I'm so impressed that you can even manage those schedules because, right, it's not just like 140-hour week and you can just hire X number of people. You got to cycle in these extra hours. But, and you can tell me if this is an oversimplification, but if you look at just, can you, you're open 60 hours. Can you tell us what the equivalent FTE time you have for all your staff? Like,
Yeah, it should be in that bullet point document. I think it's
it is.
13.8 or 14 point
Okay.
something around there.
Okay.
Yeah. And I use 35 hours, not 40, because we're 35 hours.
Okay. I'll look at that document again then.
Thank you. That was helpful.
Larry.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's not even, you didn't even talk about the custodian. I mean, we've been battling for a custodian for years. So I noticed you put that in the document.
Yeah, this building is not getting taken care of, and it's not because nobody's showing up, and it's not because nobody cares. It's because we are not getting allocated the personnel hours that we need to keep the building clean and sanitized and safe. And it's making me so upset that, somebody came in on a snowy day to visit with me for 5 minutes. The ice melt that stuck to his boots have stained and bleached the brand new carpet in my office because nobody has still been in to vacuum, and it was 2 weeks ago. So. And they did hire somebody. And what I heard was so-and-so will be here in the morning and then so-and-so will come in the afternoon. But I'm still not getting like 6 or 7 hours of custodial a day. I'm getting 3 hours, and then maybe twice a week somebody comes back from 1:30 to 3. Oh my God. And to say nothing of we're open 4 nights a week till 9 o'clock. I went, again, we have ukulele going on. We had music stands, brand new music stands. So I opened them up and put the packaging into the trash. And there's a trash barrel in that room that was used today to circulate all the building. And there's coffee cups and there's food, and it's sitting in my brand new program room. It wasn't taken out to the dumpster because it wasn't full.
Go ahead, Karen.
So Beth, what would you like us to do? We have the talking points in that document you gave us. So next week, when you give your presentation to FinCom, would it be helpful for those of us who were there, I'm planning on being there, to, pick out one of those points? And I'm almost thinking if those of us who are able to make it say, right, I'll take this one, you take that one. And would we then have the opportunity to talk like that at the meeting?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Were I a trustee and charged with the custody of this building, I would be incensed that we do not have a 30 and a 35-hour custodial position under the direction of the library director dedicated to cleaning and maintaining the building, including landscaping and snow removal and, patching holes and repainting and sanitizing. We still have a pandemic. Nobody's sanitizing.
Okay, I just noticed yet the custodial is the last bullet point.
Yeah.
All right, so would it break any rules or whatever if we just each email each other with, okay, I'll take this point, and then we can make sure that everybody kind of picks something else?
I defer to Marty about open meeting law.
Yeah. I don't know. Or if we just do it right now, All right.
Could I ask a quick question again?
Yeah.
The custodian, so you're telling me if it's a 30 to 35 hour person that would report to you, they have to do the whole cleaning of the whole place, and then they have to do snow removal too?
They do. So what happens when it's snow?
And then we'd have to throw in some landscaping. That's a heck of a lot for one person to do with this building, I
That's
think.
why I'm asking for 2.
Okay.
So it's 2 positions. One is 35. One is 30. They would have a little bit of overlap in the afternoons for projects they needed to do together, like hold a ladder and change the light bulb. But yeah, again, we're open 60 hours. We want to do vacuuming before we're open to the public. I can't have a Roomba because it's a union issue.
Right.
So, and again, like I want custodial here so that there should be somebody from like 3 to 10 or, 4 to 10. So after we leave, they can vacuum after the ukulele group and the parent teacher group and after the teens go home and clean up.
All right, so I took your Word document, I put down, I will talk about custodial services.
So,
If anyone else wants to pick one?
so Karen, I think probably what the best thing to do is,
Yeah.
if you don't mind taking the lead on that, and what we can do is we can email you, which everybody pick 2 or 3. That way, if everybody picks the same one, you'll have like a second or third choice that you're prepared to talk about.
Okay, and I
we-
think that way, if everyone just emails me directly, we're not doing any communication
Yep.
with more than 2 people. All right.
Yep.
Good. All right.
Great.
Sounds good.
How do we know? So basically, we should just review this and see what points there are. Okay.
Yeah, there's 3 pages of points. Thank you, Beth.
Right. I've been looking at it. Beth, so you're going to give an overview, correct?
Yes.
And then this is for us to substantiate that so that they know there's people that care, that really, the other people that are responsible for the building are supporting you and trying to get this understood. Okay.
Okay,
I will definitely help out and I'll be there.
all right.
Great. So I propose that we give Beth a break and skip to, unless you have a quick IT update, and then we can move on to the other items on the agenda. But we can give you a quick break if you want to grab a drink of water. And okay. So Dana, would you mind skipping over to the capital campaign update?
Sure. You want me to do that?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So, so the big update is that we did finish the donor wall and it is installed. And I do believe there's a sheet covering it. And so that is good news. Also, I worked on the clock, so that was done, and all the electric. I've been working behind the scenes on that. So what we're trying to do what we're doing right now is I've been asking, working with Sunshine, they're working on a couple of different plaque designs. We need to do a good one, one for the historical reading room, and then we have 2 other spaces where they were endowed with a lot of funds. So we're looking at that too. I've asked them to look into that. For the historic reading room, they've been working on it for quite a while. And I should have another estimate. I emailed them this morning or text them today, asking them for that. And then we're also working on the smaller plaques that will be at the commemorative plaques for each room that's been endowed. So that's what we're doing right now. And then I'm also working on the community patio, because that was a big space that we had a donation for. So what we're doing right now is we have reviewed with the landscaper the site, and he's supposed to present us a plan. And our thought is to basically, we're going to basically clean it up a little bit in the back, I would say. There's that hill there, and we're going to make it so that you don't have as much runoff, and that, you won't be losing that hill that's between the library land and the person that lives next door. So, and it's going to be part of our thinking is to make it, when it closer to the community room, more of we want to try to attract birds and butterflies and stuff like that to make it really natural looking. So it will look good. So we're doing that. And then we're also working on a design for the different, for the lights that will be hanging there. So that's something I've been working on, and Doug has been assisting. And we've been also, I need to talk with the donor again, just to let them know where we are. So we're really pushing to get that done. So I will continue on that as hard as I can. And then I'm just doing any little things that come up. that helped Beth because she just too many stuff for her to do. It was ridiculous. So I just pitched in. So the other thing is Beth has given us a list of stuff that she wants for us. And I believe we need to go over that list again. The other big thing is for the community patio room. I know patio area, we need to order furniture as soon as possible and figure that out. So that's like our number one thing after a couple little house cleaning stuff and then the plaques. I don't know if Doug has anything to add.
Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Well, I would just add that for a lot of these requests, like the patio furniture, I think it would, we could use some help, I think, from the trustees to just help collect information, right? Because a lot of it's just going on the websites, getting model numbers and pricing, and it's not always easy to do. And I know Dana's been doing a lot of work on that. So if anyone else is interested in helping out.
Yeah, it's funny you just said that because I was going to say the same thing. Is what sort of furniture are you considering? For the outdoors, and also how is it going to be protected and preserved, and so that you don't have patio furniture. I know in my house looks great, like for the one season, and then it's just you're ready to replace it in the next season. So I'm sure you're going to want to spend appropriate amount of money so that it's well preserved and you don't have to spend that money every couple of years to get it replaced.
I would say that what we really want to do is we want to buy really good furniture that can be out there year round, because we don't have any. My understanding is that we do not have any extra storage space, if I understand. There was something that was called a shed that looks like an outhouse to me. It's just too small. So that's what our thinking is. And also that we could see if there's anyone in the capital campaign committee that can help us. So I think Doug and I need to talk to Beth and find out exactly where we are with that and just move it, because it's March and we have a big event coming up in May, I believe, that we have to get ready for. And I want to, be still alive then. It's going to happen. There's not, anyway, that's what we've been working on. But yes, if anyone wants to help us, let us know.
Okay. I might reach out. Who's spearheading that? You, Dana?
Yeah, I guess so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to see. Shrewsbury has an outdoor space. I don't know that they've put any furniture. I was there a couple of years ago, but I also don't want to put stuff out that's not movable. Like you see kind of all the those picnic tables that are covered in the rubber vinyl plastic stuff, which is weather resistant, but it looks like a Burger King, outdoor seating area.
Absolutely. Because we want to be able to make that space works for whomever's using the community room. And that's why we wanted to try to get furniture and lighting so that the outdoors could truly be used. So we'll look at that. I mean, there's no way, I don't think, Beth, for us to be able to store anything anywhere within the municipal buildings. Is there?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think where I would start, and I don't have to talk about this any further, we can move on, but where I would start is seeing what other libraries are doing. Because I know I've even been to the Boston Public Library and I've seen some stuff that they use for weddings and different activities outside. So, and I'm sure they run into similar storage issues. So, okay. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Doug. Any further questions from the trustees for the capital campaign? Okay. So we can go back to IT update, Beth?
Sure.
Great.
This is just from my report, actually. So right after the new year, our internet was intermittent for like 2 days and they got it fixed. But that's when our faxing stopped working. We just got the Xerox faxing, sending and receiving again today, but we still have the brother printer in the admin office will only send, it won't receive. So we're still trying to deal with that. And there's been a lot of passing around for, is it an IT issue, an equipment issue, a Verizon phone line issue, or a Market Spark issue? That's the interim company that allows us to plug these devices into an Ethernet cable and then transfers the data to go out over the analog fax line. It seems unnecessarily complicated. Because the municipal center was closed for most of January, IT also was off-site. So I actually only saw IT for about 15 minutes last week for the first time in a month. We still have some outstanding issues. We do have MS Office software that we licensed. Thank you. I believe trustees funded that too. The for adult PCs have Office Suite now, but they haven't gotten to the children's room or the teen computers yet. So that's next on the list. They also haven't put it on our laptops. So we still have laptops that are not circulating. Again, I'll just say again, staff are spending several hours a day on all kinds of technology related things that we would love to just be passing off to an IT person. It's phones, it's fax, it's security stuff, it's the automated materials handler, it's the Xerox, it's the printer, it's intermittent Wi-Fi, everything. Yeah, so this week I'm the one who, because nobody showed up and then we had the snowstorm Friday, I'm the one who went around to a dozen staff computers to install the GoToBlue panic button software on computers. The idea is if you hit the panic button, I don't have one in my office, right? There's one at admin. It's a physical button that's under the desk. So if somebody hits the button, then all the computers in the library pop up with a message that the police have been called. It's a silent alarm. And then you can see the dialogue between dispatch and whoever triggered the button. So that all had to get installed. 5 of the computers I went to, my administrative password would not allow me to install software. And this has been an ongoing issue that I should have a global permission as the director and de facto IT administrator to install software on staff computers. So I'm sending another ticket tomorrow to try and resolve it again. And it's just computer to computer. Sometimes I can do it. Sometimes there's no credentials required. Sometimes I put in my credentials and it works. But for 5 of them, I put in my credentials and it would not allow me to put in the software. And we have a test tomorrow morning at 9:30, and not all the computers are up and running to test. So it's frustrating. I'd be advocating for a dedicated library IT person, except I really need custodial more. And I'm hoping that when our wonderful library technician and cataloger retires in June, that she will be replaced not with a full-time cataloger, but with somebody who will do some of this IT stuff that we can't wait a week for somebody to come in for, and take it off of my plate. You be the person to call about the faxing, or to install the thing from the thumb drive, or we replaced a laptop and somebody needs a Microsoft Office key. Like, we shouldn't have to wait for a week for somebody to come in and do it. We should be able to take care of some of those things, but we're still so far behind in everything else, we can't get to it, or might not have the expertise. So that's where we're at. The guy, when he comes, is great. But
Yeah, well, I agree, Beth. I mean, when they show up, I'm sure they're fantastic, right? But for all those hours that they're not there, you're kind of left with, well, I guess I have to do it, because I'd rather not make one of my staff do it because they have other things to do. So you're obviously the one who's taking on that burden, which you shouldn't have to. I think that's a great strategy. What I see a lot of times, the small businesses that don't have their own IT person on site full time, is what they'll do is they generally have like a dedicated IT tech contact person who works there, and that can handle most of the kind of day-to-day stuff that you really don't need an IT person to do for going and just popping in CDs. But I think that's a great strategy. And then they can interface with IT if they have questions and have, but again, we want that person to be, not your IT person. We want them to be a librarian, right?
yeah. I mean, a benefit would be to, it's not Heidi's wheelhouse. She has a ton of skill, but we should be teaching technology classes. So again, I hope that the next person who I get for that position, if they can automate a lot of the acquisitions process and the books coming in, catalog ready and the record already being in the catalog, that would free up time to do other technology things. And I will say, I need to give a shout out to Borrower Services, who really, I just kept dumping it on them. and they rose to the occasion. They're taking care of biblioteca stuff, the AMH and all the self-checks. They dealt with all the faxing. I still haven't gotten to phones. We still have phone issues, and I tried to foist that off, and it didn't quite work. But they have taken on this stuff, and to some degree, it's job related, right? So if you're circulation or borrower services, then yeah, you have to deal with the circulation machine. But it's also job creep, and they're not getting paid what the value of the service to the town they're providing. And we don't have salary and classification survey on our agenda tonight, so I will leave it at that and put it on next month's agenda. But it's job creep, and we're asking them to do things beyond their job descriptions and not compensating them for it, including me, who has been again, head of IT and the clerk of the works on the construction project since August, for no additional compensation. So it sucks.
Yep, I understand. And that issue with the fax machine, I know why they're doing it that way.
But a dedicated line would have been easier and cheaper and have worked.
Yeah, so it's probably because they just don't run copper wires to buildings anymore, and I don't know what your copper wiring is like in the building anymore. But so I mean, Verizon probably could have put one in, like you said, but also I've seen solutions where, like Vonage, which is still an internet service, but they give you the it's probably very similar to Market Spark.
Yeah.
But they just give you an analog out that you can plug in for faxing. But it sounds like you're making progress, though. So one of them's working. Maybe the next one will work.
They basically gated the speed. They changed when they replaced hardware, they replaced software, and then they finally said, you know what? If we slow down the transmission speed that the Ethernet cable's providing, then it will work. And it did, and they were able to do it through the Xerox. But nobody knows how to do it for the Brothers printer. Like Xerox isn't going to do that for me. So we just talked to Market Spark again. They're coming. I don't know when, but.
Yep. Doug, please.
I know when Andy kind of retired from Clerk of the Works, there was someone else, I can't remember, the assistant town administrator. Like, why don't we push more on him?
He's not.
Especially if it's town. What's that?
He's not actually the assistant town administrator. Like Will is great. He's been very helpful with procurement, but to bring him up to speed on every single one of, like, he would need to be here all the time working.
Right, but wasn't he supposed to fill in kind of the Clerk of the Works or not?
No, he really wasn't. It was more like things that Beth can't get done or that are not happening, get it to Will and Evan. They will step in and take some of it off of her plate. And they did a couple of times, but like, I'm not exaggerating when I say it's day to day, it's randomly throughout the day. And half the time it's just easier for me to send an email and CC the two of them. So they're the backup and the heavy when I need it, than to just say, you call Market Spark and you deal with all the faxing. You come down here and sit on the phone for an hour with David waiting for tech support, for bibliothèque. And that's not fair to them. They have their own job duties and are very overwhelmed too. So, I'm here and I have the history and I have the contacts. And really, it's gone from 70 to 80% of my job was construction stuff to now it's 20 to 25%. So it's improved. But, I'm just so behind. It's why I couldn't get to interviewing. It's why I haven't done my annual report in graphical format like I do. It's why the procedures manual isn't updated. It's why the food permit hasn't been completed. It's why I haven't even reached out to pull policy committee together to finish our group visits and our privacy policy and other outstanding things that we need to finish. Like, I just can't, because I can't work 60 hours a week. I'm keeping it 35 because that's what I get paid to do. So they really needed to hire somebody even 20 hours a week to just continue to deal with construction. And they didn't want to do that. They didn't do that. It is what it is.
Okay. Thank you, Beth. Anything else for IT?
No. That wasn't all IT. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It all ties in. So Stephanie was unable to join. She sent me the Friends minutes. I'm happy to go through a couple highlights unless somebody was able to attend the meeting because I was not there. And I'll give Beth a break if she was there. So Beth already mentioned that the Friends are going to be funding the OWL remote meeting cameras. So they're working on that to cover those expenses. That they had a concern about tech support availability, I think, for the OWL cameras. And I guess Beth was going to check on that.
They were worried about the warranty because it's a refurbished machine, but it's still a year warranty, the same as new. And for tech support, it is so easy to use. You literally plug it in and it just works. It's easy. So they approved it and they sent the check.
Okay. So I guess the town has a few of them, right?
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
two.
Okay. I guess they're going to be opening the donation bin. This says tomorrow, but this was back in February, so I think that's probably already open. So that's great. They have a few fundraising opportunities. The summer reading, swag, t-shirts, cups, pencils. They're working on, and they're working with Sarah Bannister. But they're potentially thinking they can sell some things online too, at the library. They're looking at new canvas bags. They're probably all out of the ones that they sold a few years ago. So I know I have two of them. The Easter egg hunt is scheduled for Saturday, April 9th. I don't understand the rest of this, but I'm going to keep going. So the Easter egg hunt is coming up. The community read event is the Green Read theme, to be held in honor of Earth Day, which is on April 22nd. And Heidi is working on an inspirational book option, most likely fiction. Feel free to pipe in if I'm missing anything. They're going to have a spring book sale sometime in May. I think they haven't set that date yet. This might be an old agenda. I think they were thinking the end of May, but there may be a conflict.
They did, and then I accidentally double booked the meeting room and asked if they would push back.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Okay.
it may be beginning of first week of June because of Memorial Day weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, but what I said, they can have the room for a week to set up and then run it Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay. I think they're trying to find a more permanent place for book bundles. I know after the holidays are done, a lot of the book bundles are not available anymore. So I think it's just kind of getting used to that space, it looks like. And that's about the highlights. So I can't answer any questions, but if you have any, I think maybe just send them over to Stephanie if she was able to attend, or to Carrie. So thank you. On to the next item is the walkabout. Doug and Karen. I don't know who'd like to take the lead on that. I say, let's say Karen.
Doug put together a wonderful presentation with the pictures.
Great.
So Doug, do you want to go through that, or I have it ready? I can share it on my screen too. You're on mute.
Right,
Doug.
yeah, I know. I guess you can share it if you want. I know a number of the items Beth actually has already mentioned.
Yeah. Okay. One thing, we noticed the copper gutters look more rusted than the typical green look, so we weren't sure if this was just normal wear and tear or anything to worry about. Oh, all right, yep. All right, we'll just go for that.
When you send me this, I will bring all these things up in our next construction meeting, which is Monday at 4:00.
Yeah.
Or anything construction related anyway.
No problem. And then the other thing, are the iPads for the conference rooms online, or are we still waiting for things to be done about those?
I just can't even get to it. We have to take them all off the wall. catalog them and put an RFID tag on them. So if somebody steals them, we can yell at them when they go out the door because they are not actually locked or secured. Then staff have to add to their closing routine to undo them from the wall, plug them in and charge them overnight every night because there's no power near most of them because this was an afterthought. And then we also need to monitor them during the day because there's no way to put any kind of security or kiosk mode on them, which is kind of what I asked IT to do, to keep them only on the room reservation and calendar pages. So it's on my list, but was not high priority. And
So they are actually iPads?
They're not. They're some kind of a tablet. Yeah, they're not
okay.
iPads. A Samsung tablet, maybe. Does that sound right?
Okay, so much more complicated than we thought,
Yeah.
which
And it's
falls, I think, into the workload for the employees, and everything just kind of circles together.
Yeah, and it also was lower priority because we had meeting rooms for a while, then we didn't, now we do again. So
Yeah. All right. All right. You already talked about the missing doors. And then we did notice a small tear in the carpet in the children's room. Just wanted to bring that to your attention if that hadn't been noticed already.
thanks.
And more of a design thing. Why are all the leaves horizontal? We thought they would just kind of be moving around a little bit as if the tree was in the breeze or something.
That's how it was designed and installed. That's the only answer I have.
All right.
Yeah.
Two non-designers asking this. We're like, why are they all? Okay.
If I had a custodian, he could adjust the pitch on the individual leaves.
Well,
For
when I
sure.
talk about that at the FinCom meeting, I'll mention that. Wonderful. We were surprised by how easily this mobile toy could tip over. Just touching it kind of made it move.
Yeah. So it's currently out of service. That picture is in the program room. I've actually never been out on the public floor because we know it's a tip hazard.
Yes.
And I believe that Sarah was working with Corey from Tucker on a solution to put it on a weighted base so that it would not be a tip hazard. So it's one of those, in process, but not urgent. And when I'm going to be emailing her.
Yeah.
And I'll add that to my list.
All right. One of the old basement windows over in the original building was missing its trim.
Ooh. Okay.
Don't know where it went. All right. And then we noticed the front casement window. This has yellow insulation and stuff. Like the other side is the teen room, so you can't see it from the inside, but I don't know if there's a way to put a screen on it or something to hide it because it's facing the common. It's just kind of icky looking.
Yeah. I feel like this might have come up and they were just sort of
Yeah, because I think, Doug, if I'm remembering correctly, the other windows had screens that kind of masked this.
Okay.
All right. And there seems to be an extra piece of marble on the front porch, just leaning there.
I've asked 3 times for that to be relocated. If I had a custodian, I could direct to move it. That would
I'm not sure. I mean, it's kind of heavy. Is someone going to get hurt if it falls over? Is it going to crack if it falls over?
Can't we make it into a bench and make it part of landscaping?
Yeah.
I think the capital campaign should look into
It's very pretty. It
is very nice. Yeah.
So there's no intended place for that to be. That's an extra piece.
Is it just?
And nobody took it away. Like I'm sure it's valuable. It would have been gone to salvage. The construction company would have owned it, but nobody took it, so it's still ours. So we could do.
Okay. Is it real heavy?
It's heavy. Yeah, it's real marble.
Does it take 2 people?
Yeah.
I would like that move so we can do something with it. So let's figure that out.
Okay.
Okay.
We're on 2 cinder blocks. I have a bench in
Very
the
pretty. Right. To the left of the front door, the drain pipe is broken.
So this is why a walkabout is so helpful. I don't go in and out that door and never would know
Yeah.
unless somebody pointed it out. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
If I can just add also, it's a horrible color and it sticks out like a sore thumb. So when it gets fixed, if it can be like a different color that blends in rather than like bright, Robin's egg blue. I don't know if it comes in other colors, but I'm not sure how much good it's doing at this point. This light is over by, I think this was by the old children's room door, Doug. Is that what this
Yep.
was? Yeah, it's exposed. You can see everything in there and it just doesn't look safe.
Somewhere we have the fixture it goes on. It used to be in my office and I'm not sure where it's ended up. So I may have to fabricate a replacement for it. That would be a CPC project though.
Okay.
We need to remake it.
And then also, do we need a light over there? Because that door's not used anymore. So would it be easier to just take it down?
Yeah, Historic District Commission would say, put it back, even if it's not functional,
Okay.
because it was, it's
But I
really-
mean, was that there when the library was originally built?
yeah, it's original.
It is.
We kept it with a light, even when it went to a window, again,
Yeah.
like for the aesthetic. And then it fell during a windstorm and got bent and damaged. It's made of very light copper.
Mhm.
And I feel like maybe a former trustee offered to hang on to it. So I'll reach out to that person. And if it's not with that person, I don't know where it ended up.
Where it is.
So,
Okay.
so again, we may need to
Mhm.
remake it.
And I think this one.
Do you mind, what is it, a light?
Yeah, there was a lantern, like a
Okay.
six-sided lantern that was weathered copper. It was a beautiful green color. Yeah. That
Yeah, it was a pretty cool lamp.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, we need to find it.
I remember this, and I remember exactly what it looked like. It was taken down and just needed to be repaired, and I think we were going to pay a
Restoration.
local to fix it or someone to restore it.
Restoration. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's likely with whoever touched it last, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
All right. The outside book return, we were wondering why it was out of service, but you'd already talked about the fact that the computer died.
So, and again, like it was out of service for 3 days before I got a report about why it was out of service. And my next question was, why didn't the technician or someone else think to swap the inside book drop that worked, swap the computer that did work
Yeah.
to run the outside book drop to make that one available? Nobody thought of it. So we have now swapped it. So the outside one is working because it's got the other computer. The broken computer is at the inside book drop. So that one's out of order and we have a big bin for returns. And we kept hearing we're shipping the computer overnight, but they need to find a replacement and get it to us. And they haven't been able to. So,
Mhm.
so now
Okay.
we're, wheeling the bin in and hand checking again.
Mhm.
In people who return inside. We're not saying, no, go around, go outside.
Mhm.
We're taking them inside.
All right. So that was what we had found. Thank you, Doug, for putting that together.
Please email it to me
Yes.
and I'll see what I can get addressed by next month.
Okay.
Does so since that report wasn't sent to the trustee board, does that need to go in the bundle that goes on the website? That
Yeah.
particular document? It should.
Yeah.
Okay. Beth, you'll collect it.
Yeah, I'd like to email it to me and because technically anything we show in the meeting has to be part of the minutes.
Yep.
So, yeah, yep. And I send it
Great.
all.
Okay. Any questions for Doug or Karen regarding the walkabout? I do want to say nice work. Thank you for doing it. Did
Thanks,
two of you do it together or separately? Together.
We went together, yeah.
Together. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. And so when would be the next walkabout I don't, since you just did both, right now, do you think you'll alternate inside, outside, or try to do both every time you go?
I think you could probably do both in an hour or less. So
Yeah,
I don't think it's a problem to do both. And hopefully there's not going to be much inside, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we spent longer than we normally would just because it was the first one. So, yeah, I don't see a problem with doing both.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
On to COVID-19 update, Beth.
So the town rescinded the municipal building mask order Friday, the 18th. So we implemented it when we came back from President's Day weekend. Basically for us, it means we're not telling people who have their masks hanging down to please put it on. So it's kind of a relief actually, not to be getting into conflicts and arguments with people. It's optional. We're still selling them for people who want them. I did offer them in the ukulele class tonight. So far it's been fine. Evan's memo did say that individual departments could choose to mask. And he really meant municipal center, but he did check in with me before he rescinded it for library as well. And I was the one who said, I think it's fine. And then Sarah came to me and said, we still have an unvaccinated population though. I said, fine. So we'll mask just in the children's room. We keep the door closed, all the staff, everyone on staff is still masking. As far as I know, there hasn't been any pushback. We did have it on our agenda for our staff meeting. Nobody suggested that we go back to the whole building or reported any further complaints from children's room users. The schools also voted Monday or Tuesday night, Monday night, that they would rescind their mask order and make it optional. But my argument is most of the school-age children, preschool maybe not, are able to be vaccinated. And we still have this 0 to 4 population who can't be. And that's why we've continued to require it. I'll keep you posted as to whether we get pushback. We also got a copy of our updated COVID policy. And again, here's the list of symptoms, may also include gastrointestinal stuff or other symptoms not listed. And the rule is, if you don't feel well, you immediately report to your supervisor, pick up your things and go home. And you may not come back until you have a doctor's note clearing you to return to work. It does not say that people need to test, but I think the idea is you have a conversation with your medical professional. They will advise for whether you should test or not, or you can take it upon yourself to get free testing in person, or we can now go into various drugstores because of our health insurance benefit and get a free test if they have them. So that's kind of what we're dealing with now. I will say case counts in Grafton were down to 16 new cases for last week. We had been at 272 or more for 2 weeks in a row just after Christmas. So there's been a significant reduction, and there does seem to be kind of a sense that it's a little bit safer now. So, we have our policies to rely on. I still have people distancing as much as they can, sanitizing after they eat in the break room. But that's kind of it. Again, nobody is sweeping the building to sanitize the door handles, the railings, the elevator buttons, the computers. We have wipes and hand sanitizer available, and it's just on patrons themselves. Sanitize your hand before you use self-check, and if you want to wipe it down before or after, here's the stuff, but we're not doing it. We're not making you use at your own risk and use your own judgment. Seems to be okay so far, but we'll see what happens with everyone returning from vacations and February break, and we'll look at the numbers again in 2 weeks. We did allow meeting room use starting 2 weeks ago. I think we brought back adult programming for March 1st. We wanted to wait a little bit longer for children's programming, but we are resuming in-person children's programming in April. And then preschool story time, again, for unvaccinated kids, May, because we're hoping to do that outside or with the door open, just as an additional precaution. But so far, so good. I don't think it's necessarily at the end of our pandemic, but maybe we'll get a little respite here as spring and summer come upon us.
So I guess for those of us who don't frequent the children's room, what does that look like for kids who are going in the children's room, especially the real little guys? I mean, I think the little ones really aren't required to mask, right? Right.
So we're not, I think we're kind of back at errand's not a destination. So to that end, we've kept the computers out of order and the wall manipulators out of order, which the youngest users were using to kind of deter the come and hang out unmasked, unvaccinated at the library. But again, we're planning to, I think, release the computers and manipulatives in April when we resume programming. And, you know, there are people who come in and they're, you know, disappointed that the stuff isn't available, and there's plenty to do. Browse for books and sit on the cool chairs and take home a coloring sheet.
Yeah. So I guess where my head's at is I hope that nobody feels like they're being barred from using the children's room. You know, for the kids, right? So, I mean, I'm talking like kids who are really don't want to wear a mask in general, like, you know, 4 or 5 years old.
They're exempt.
Yeah.
Like the masking is only 5 and up. Like, so we had been doing 2 and up when we opened, and then the town issued a mask mandate, I think in December, I forget. And theirs was 5 and up. And Sarah said, what do I do? I'm like, well, follow the town one. I guess now it's 0 to 5 and not 0 to 2. So yeah, I'd say if there's a 6-year-old, right, who doesn't want to wear a mask, then the parent can come in with a mask, or we can collect materials and make them available for them.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not, because the idea is they could be transmitting something to those 0 to 4-year-olds who don't have to wear a mask and who are not vaccinated.
Okay.
And I think the understanding of the policy too is, I said, we'll continue to revisit it. We're going to keep watching the numbers. And yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else for Beth regarding the COVID-19 update? Okay. Moving on. Any update from the policy committee, Daniela? I know Beth mentioned it briefly, but any preview to what you'll be working on next?
We still have, I believe, we're updating the, is it meeting room? And
Yeah, we said we revisit that in 6 months, and it's been 6
it's
months.
almost, it's right
Yeah.
on time. Yeah. And actually the timing is quite coincidental with things opening up. But I think a lot of that policy will also be inexorably linked with some of the staffing as well. So we will write it as per what we think is correct. And the staffing issues is, it is what it is, but I think the policy should be written as best we can and as appropriate for, a large building. Yeah. And for whatever reason, my mind is blanking on the other policy at the same issue.
I have it on my whiteboard across the room. That's what I keep looking at.
Okay.
I'd like to bring a privacy policy, privacy and confidentiality of patron records and whatnot. That also has like a reminder that if you send something to the printer, somebody else might look at it. You can't leave your bags unattended. And then group visits, which I think we have a good policy. We just need to pass it. It's
right.
Yeah.
We did work very hard on the group visits. Also slightly orthogonally linked also with some staffing as well in terms of when large groups come. And again, because we have that great input, from the chief of police and other advisory, personnel and units we asked, I think that is ripe for the next time we're ready to discuss that. But I am very, very interested to see what happens after FinCom as well.
Yeah. And then minimum staffing, the feedback that I think I put in the bullet points, and maybe I've emailed once before. Right now it's 4 people, which is what it was in the old building. And really what I'm hearing from staff is we should have, like tonight, there's only 5 and me. And Sandhya's went home at 8 o'clock, actually. So I'm the 5th person in the building. And it's really not enough. Like, we need a minimum of 6.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll convince you at another meeting.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised that for a big, beautiful building and for the library, and I'm going to say it is actually serving de facto as the town's community center, that staffing be issued and planned with that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point, Daniela. We like to think the library is a community resource and a community gathering place, but you're right. It really is also a community center in a sense.
Yeah, for
unofficially.
For small towns and for certain neighborhoods, for certain urban neighborhoods, for certain communities, the library is the heart and soul of the community.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead, Doug.
sorry, and that's what I was getting at earlier with kind of the FTEs, right? If you're open for 60 hours and you think we need a minimum of 6 people every day, then we need a total of 360 hours, FTE hours.
Yeah.
And now that doesn't count for people going to lunch and people getting sick and going on vacation and all that stuff, of course.
It only, I can't say this enough, it only covers the service desk. It does, I mean, we could just not do any programming, right? But that's, we worked so hard to build that up over the last 8 years. We don't want to say, we have to do 3 less story times a month because the person has to sit at the desk and check and, help find books or answer questions.
Yeah, I was thinking one of the arguments I was thinking as people are talking about, a lot of children of various ages and people basically have lost some sort of knowledge, education, or they're not on the right trajectory and are looking for tutoring, additional programming, help in order to get their knowledge up. They're going to look to the library and the programs. And that is also, for me, another great argument in support of we need to run those programs, but we need the staff to do so.
Yeah.
If you want your population to be educated to catch up, whether it's the children or people who are changing jobs, looking for new jobs, so forth and so on. Again, to me, it's an economic and educational argument as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to float an idea, and we can discuss this at another meeting if we want to. But again, around the idea of the library kind of being a community center, we're thinking about staff. We're always so focused on staffing it with librarian staff and even custodial and IT as well. But what about since the town has a program that allows citizens to pay off their taxes, right, through service. I wonder if there's an opportunity to bring those sort of people on at the library that could really do more of those town community center type activities. Go ahead.
We do, and they shelf. And we have the maximum amount that we're allowed because there's only so many people that they allocate to get that tax break. And they don't just shelve. They do a lot of clerical work now for the staff, prepping for making copies, bookmarks, paper trimming, shredding, that kind of thing. But they would have to be significantly trained if they were going to work a public service desk because there's multiple software and systems to learn. And it sets a very bad precedence to allow volunteers, because they are volunteers, they're not paid, to do the work that we're asking for a bachelor's degree person to do. They're not librarians.
Yeah, that was my point. Yeah. But I was thinking more services that are like related to like a community center. I don't know if we could kind of define and group those sort of tasks together, if there even is a need for something like that. But rather than having them do shelving and stuff, do things that are more operational at the library in building operations.
They're volunteers.
Yeah.
They're not reliable. And it really diminishes the skill set of the paid staff. That's my personal opinion.
Okay.
we could have a volunteer greeter to replace the person at the desk in the lobby.
That's kind of what I
say,
was
"Oh,
thinking.
Go get a library card upstairs. Go get your museum pass upstairs. Sure, I can unlock the meeting room for you. Sure, I can show you how to return your books." That would be great, but you'd need a roster of a lot of people and they'd have to show up.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
they don't. And they still
Thank
need to
you.
be supervised and trained. And for some of the programs, they require, it then takes staff time to count up all their hours and send the letter and the right certification, whether that's National Honor Society, the senior tax write-off. Sometimes DCF or similar, like a SNAP benefits organization, will let people volunteer to earn their food stamps. And it's a lot of also management for staff, which is why we currently have only 40 volunteers. I think we have 40 volunteers and we're maxed out. We can't handle, we still have tasks that people could do, and we just can't handle the management of more than that. There's 20 in adult, 10 in teen, and 10 in children's.
Yeah.
A full-time volunteer coordinator could do more, but that's like, I need to cover the desks or I get somebody like that in. There is a trend. I will also say there's a trend for libraries to hire a social worker and have a social worker be on staff to take care of things like, let me help you fix your resume. Let me help you fill out the healthcare form. That kind of stuff. You're here every day and you don't seem to have lunch. Like, what's going on? Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Anything further regarding policy committee for Daniela? Oh, go ahead. Okay. So on to the director's report.
When I get the right document up. Numbers keep going up for the most part. January, we had, I think, 2 holidays and 2 snow closures, so attendance was down a little bit. Clearly, I did not get the reference transaction figure in time, which is why it says X. I think year to date, we've circulated almost, 11,300 items, which is pretty good. Added a bunch of new things, placed a lot of holds. We had like 136 new library cards in November or December. So that was down a little bit. We only added 70 new people this January, sorry. Museum pass use went up. Social media metrics are pretty stable. We had a glitch with ancestry.com at the end of December. They stopped allowing at-home use. And I somehow missed the memo that I had to update my link. So nobody used it in all of January. Usually gets a couple hundred hits. I have fixed it. And I'm expecting it to have gotten some use in-house because you can no longer do it from home for February. I did a big push promotional for Comics Plus. We now have posters near all of our comics and graphic novels collections to promote Comics Plus. If you like comic books or graphic novels, it is an amazing digital collection. They have stuff in ebook format that we can't get and buy in print. And it's stuff from Europe. It's stuff that's won awards. It's beautifully illustrated. It's only $500 a year, but it makes me really sad that only 2 people used it in January. And it also had, they have a ton of popular materials too. So if you really love the My Little Pony series graphic novels and our physical copy is checked out, you can just read it online. It's streaming, it's always there. It's killing me that nobody's using it. People forgot about Freegal in January. Usually we have 300 hits or downloads. And I don't know why no one was listening to music in January. Maybe they'll switch to Spotify. I don't know. But that database number is a little bit low. Teachables was really high. Yeah, just go. They're closing the library around me.
Oh.
I should be talking faster. Teachables is a scholastic database that has everything from homeschooler resources to bulletin board themed things. So somebody was using it. And then the AWE is 0 because that's actually physical hardware. It's 2 computers. funded by donations for Peter Cornetta, whose widow came in today to thank me for allowing them to put money toward a children's room computer. So because all the computers are out of order, nobody used it. I don't know what the story is with Bookflix. It's ebooks for kids. And for some reason that didn't have any hits last month either. Because of the pandemic, we had a smaller number of library programs. They were all Zoom. So small numbers of programs and participants. We had closed down meeting rooms. We did make an exception, I think, for somebody who had to take a private medical call and really just, so I would just like find them and let him in. We may have also, it says 0 for test proctoring, but my recollection is we actually did allow somebody to proctor as well, because we just felt like we could make an exception for that. No notarizations, but we're allowing that again. And we now have 2 certified notaries on staff. And our 22 volunteers did give us 123 hours doing some of those tasks that I talked about earlier. I think Susan forgot to give me the home delivery number. It might have been, I think it was 6 people and 17 items for home delivery. We are still offering curbside. So for people who don't feel comfortable coming in, we will still check them out in advance, put them in a brown bag and put them on a cart outside, as well as the home delivery option. And then computer use, I think I just didn't get that figure in time either. I apologize. I still don't have a way to collect Wi-Fi information. So I just continue to ask the IT company for that. And then I submitted a very long multi-page narrative, which I'm happy to take questions. I know you all read it. And I'm not going to read it to you because it's 8:57.
Sure. Go ahead, Doug.
The meeting room use, how are you going to track the meeting room use without those little iPad things? Like, is it just a manual count type thing?
No. So the iPad is only to make a reservation for the public. The staff have a back end. And what I'm trying to get them to do is to either go and look at the meeting or have the person in the room come and report back when they leave. 3 people came to my meeting, or 2 people to my tutoring session, 10 people to the parent teacher group. So when you make the reservation, there's an estimated attendance, but then for the staff back end, there's also an actual attendance box. That's a new thing, and getting them to go back and put the information in has been a little bit of a challenge. But then I can, in theory, I can run a report, just like I do with museum passes. It's the same company that tells me how many rooms were used and how many people attended. And that's a figure we have to report on the ARIS report. So like I said, for January,
Yeah,
I let the person in and I know, but.
Okay. Yeah, and it's such a great new feature we have in the library. I think it's going to be a really important metric to track and publish and everything.
Yeah. So what's happening too is I'm trying to also be conscious, because it's new, to check and because I'm managing the community room AB and the 10-seat conference room. I feel like I can take responsibility to email the convener of whatever meeting that happened, if it wasn't a library program, to say, how many people did show up, and they'll get me that information.
Great.
So, yeah. We will provide statistics.
Great. So they're closing the library around Beth, and I'm sure she'll be happy to hear more of our comments, questions. But I think we should just take a look at her director's report, and if we have any feedback or questions, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer them. Great. So if you have any, if you feel real strongly about the talking points coming up for the FinCom meeting, please direct those to Karen. I know I've looked over it and I have a couple things that I might want to talk on. So that was a great idea. So that is next Wednesday. And then, sorry, I lost my agenda. So our next meeting is Wednesday, March 23rd, currently scheduled via Zoom. So Beth mentioned potential for a hybrid meeting or full in-person meeting. And if we're going to do a full in-person meeting, we should probably get on Cindy Ide's radar so that she can book us a room, or we could gladly do it at the library, right? Yeah.
We can do it at the library now.
Yeah.
They weren't recorded live anyway, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would still be a Zoom call, right? In this, but we'd be able to see each other face to face.
Yeah. So again, the OWL device will records everybody in the room. So you talk and it jumps to you. So it'll give you the 360 of the room and integrate the Zoom call as well.
Mhm.
So whoever's talking, yeah, it's just like the yellow boxes highlight now after a second or two, that's kind of what it does. And if you've gone back and watched any of our previous meetings, I don't know what everybody has set up, but like right now I have a grid view and I can see everybody. But the recording on Zoom is you only get the box with the speaker. So it's full screen. And then if I'm screen sharing, it's the full screen with somebody in the corner. You don't see the whole group. So if you're quiet and in your nose, nobody would ever know.
My only concern with something like that is, so we're meeting in person, our ability to see people who may not be in person, right? So that's my only concern. So we just need some sort of monitor in place.
Yeah, TV or projector, depending on which room we pick.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would like, and certainly others can chime in, but the next meeting to have a hybrid option. It'll still be a Zoom meeting. I tried to look up before and during the meeting what the executive order still stands if we have to meet in public, or are we going to be forced to meet in public? So I don't believe I've seen anything that says we can't, but I think to add that OWL option in is a great idea, and we'll just continue scheduled with our Zoom meeting at the end of the month. And those who want to meet in person, I think I would opt for that idea. Beth can book that community room for us, right?
So ukulele will be going on actually next Wednesday, on every Wednesday for the next 6 weeks, 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So we would do conference room 10, which is a little smaller, but it has windows that open additionally. So we have good ventilation and we have good filters, but it's like another level of, okay, there's fresh air coming in. I feel a little better about
Okay.
meeting. It's also though smaller and closer. So
Great.
everyone else is it looks like other departments are meeting hybrid. So select board was hybrid. They had in person, they had an audience for the first time. I believe school committee also was in person and online live this week as well. So
How did the sorry, I know it's 9:03, but how did the select board meet hybrid?
it seemed to be fine. So theirs is more webinar style, where if you click the link, unless you have special permission to join and participate, you're just watching and you can raise your hand or ask questions. Will seem to be managing that. I could see the whole select board. So I attended last night because I thought I had appointments.
Yeah.
And people like Candy LaValle, the clerk, was on site. So she came up and I just saw the back of her head, as opposed to I might have seen a front view. Remember, they have 4 or 5 cameras. It was mostly like still focused on just one, I don't know, 100-degree view or something like that, 120-degree view. But it worked. You could hear everybody. Screen share worked. It was fine. They'll be up in the next day or two, so you can certainly go watch those recordings and assess if you think it's worth it.
Okay.
So Beth,
please
did
go
they
ahead.
use the OWL for that meeting?
I don't think so. I think they just had like a trained camera. I don't even know if there was anybody in the booth. Maybe not.
Okay.
Again, because it wasn't
I-
switching. But the OWL's in the middle, is usually in the middle of the room, and because it rotates, I would have seen Candy's face if they had been using it.
Right. Because I watched the planning board meeting and that went horribly.
Oh no.
But so I was just, so the reason for my saying that was I didn't know if before that meeting next month, if we want to do a run through and just try it out, and that sort of thing, just in case.
We did it with building committee, maybe in December or January or November.
Mhm.
I can figure out which one and send the link if you want to take a look.
Oh, okay. And it worked fine?
Great. Yeah.
Oh, good. All right. That's all I need to know.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, if it would make people, I think most of us may be masked anyway. I mean, I will be masked, so
Yeah.
maybe that will make everybody feel more comfortable.
I would also say if everyone is just planning to mask, stay on Zoom. but
Oh.
my 2 cents.
Okay.
Maybe Aaron can take a poll and check comfort level and then, because I just would need to amend the agenda by Monday morning, March 21st, to say that it's going to either be hybrid, completely in person, and if it's just going to stay on Zoom, we keep the Zoom link. Either way, yeah. Yeah, so if it's hybrid or completely in person, I'll have to amend the agenda to say that.
Okay.
So that would be,
I'm still wearing a mask, so
yeah. I have been
Just-
too. My mug.
just for a little while, I got to make sure everything's okay.
So what I was proposing with, and we don't need to vote on this, but what I'm saying is, if you do a hybrid, it's still a Zoom meeting, either way. It
Yeah.
just, so I think it's probably okay to post it as a hybrid meeting. No?
Well, that's it. It says it's on Zoom, so I have to add in the hybrid language and add the location for people who might want to come in person.
Right.
It has to be
Okay.
added. The link doesn't change, but the
Mar-
name of the meeting and address does.
Yep. Marty, please.
I'm just curious, what's the objective of having the meeting in person rather than by Zoom? What would be the benefit, Aaron, other than the nicety of social contact, which we'd probably refrain from anyway?
I started off in 2015 doing my meetings in person. I would say 90% of my interactions, I mean, I'm not retired, right? So I'm still going into the office every day. My workplace had masks, day in and day out, fully staffed. And now they've repealed the mask policy. So I'm comfortable being out there because I'm out there every day, and I would prefer, meeting in person. Actually, on a personal note, it's really because 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, my kids are going to bed. It's not fair to them for me to have these kind of meetings. If I have an option otherwise, right? So if people were okay with starting to meet in person, that's what I would opt for.
But other than that, in the sense of the objective for the library board of trustees to accomplish its purposes, there isn't really a real benefit that you can articulate, is there?
No, I mean, so long as there's no order for us to have to meet in person, then we can still, meet remotely for as long as we want.
All right, I mean, I'll consider it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, if you have any further feedback, just send me a message. But please give me feedback, either yay or nay, just so that I'm hearing from everybody, and we get everybody's input. So, okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Great.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aaron, aye. Daniela,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Marty,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
and Dana. Didn't hear you. I saw it nice and loud.
Aye.
There we are. All right, great. I declare the motion carried.